That's Syracuse, New York power poppers, the Flash Cubes, from their album Pop Masters. The band formed back in 1977 and still features all 4 original members. 2 of them got so carried away that they've recorded 24 more power pop gems as the Half Cubes. Here are Tommy Allen and Gary Frenay to tell us what keeps them going after all these years.
Music.
Music. We love music. We love making music. It's our thing, you know. We're not smart enough to do anything else, so we just keep doing this.
There you go. I can relate to that. Yep. All right. So you got this Half Cubes project going, which is half of the Flash Cubes, and you just put out Pop Treasures, which is a follow-up to the thing you guys did last year with the Flash Cubes. So what, you didn't have enough last year? You had to do like 24 tracks more? What happened?
Well, okay, so what happened was when we completed Pop Masters, there was a lot of songs left over on the list, and many of the songs that Gary and I had on the list were decidedly more pop than they were necessarily Flash Cubes material.
Gotcha.
And that, coupled with the fact that Gary and I are both home recordists and the other 2 guys weren't, and we were kind of working at a clip.
Yep.
And had a kind of momentum. We just kept doing it, and it was making us happy, and the other 2 guys weren't as enthused about the whole thing as we were. So kind of a combination of things. We accomplished what we wanted to with the Flash Cubes, but we just had more songs we wanted to do.
Right. That's pretty cool. I was happy to see, what was it, Let Me Make Love to You, the Flo and Eddie tune. I have the 45 of that somewhere in the back, and it's a great song.
All right. Little Flo and Eddie love. We love that.
I remember seeing them. They opened for Alice Cooper in '72 in Rochester.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great show.
It was a great show. So yeah. Tell me how you guys know who chose that song? Why did you do it?
That's exactly the type of song that wouldn't have been a Flash Cube song, right, Tommy? I mean, that's Tommy and I live in a separate pop place. That we brought that to the Cubes, but the Cubes weren't going to do that with us. It had to be a different setting.
I mean, if you look at the collection, obviously there's some things on Pop Treasures that the Flash Cubes could have done. Could have done the Cheap Trick song, or the Jason Faulkner song, and those things. But they never would have done an Alessi Brothers song.
Yeah.
That's just not would have happened. And a 10cc song they never could have done.
Yep.
It was just, we just had a sort of, we were like a runaway pop horse. We just kept doing it. And, really, we said we'd do it until we ran out of great songs to do.
That ain't going to happen, as your record rack shows.
That is true.
You don't run out of great songs, man. There's just we just keep throwing them out there.
No. I mean, I love to see 2020 in there, and all the size and all these. It's just like, holy mackerel, blast from the past. So when you notify, because I know you got some of the original folks involved in this, what is their reaction like when you call them up and say, "Hey, we're doing your song, and do you want to help?"
Look, I say 50% of the artists that we have covered have taken us up on our offer.
Right.
Maybe more. I'm not really sure of the exact number, but there's some people that we couldn't get in touch with, some people that declined, some people we didn't know how to get in touch with. And
like Flo and Eddie. We had no conduit to them.
All right. Yep.
But we threw it out there. We just kind of did it out of nowhere with no expectations. And we were really pleasantly surprised.
So you got the Rubinoos in there. Tell me how that came about.
Got my head in a cloud, but that's all right. Far away from here and now. 'Cause tonight I'm gonna see the one I love,
we had worked with them at one point in New York. We had a gig scheduled together. They ended up not playing because John came down ill. But so we've known those guys, and we went to see them at one of the IPO shows. Do you know what IPO is? International Pop Overthrow. It's a pop festival that's been going on for 20 plus years in the States and in Liverpool, England. It's run by a guy named David Bash, a music writer. But we had run into them there. So, and I'll let Tommy take it from there.
Well, our paths had crossed, and of course, they were familiar with us and us with them. And when that song was on the list, I think it was the same thing. We just sent an email out and said, we're doing your song. You feel like joining us? And my goal in every aspect of the invitation process is to come up with a work mix that I feel is presentable enough and exciting enough, so where the original artists will, have a hard time saying no.
Yeah.
And that's really my goal. And sometimes you win and sometimes you don't.
Yeah, but that's been the key to success too, is that the opening track is good enough that they want to get involved.
Yeah. Okay. And you have the Size playing with you as well. How did that come about?
Every time he fools you over and over, why? He'll make you cry. He'll make you cry.
Well, I used to book the Size at a place called the China Club in New York City. That's where I first heard of them in the late 80s. And I had a production partner at the time named John DiNicola. And John came down to see the Size, and we decided to, produce them. And so we started producing some demos, and they got a record deal on Charisma Records. And John and I were associate producers on that record with Ed Stasium. So I go back a long way with those guys, and that particular song was always one of my favorites on the record.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I knew I had a pretty good shot of having them say yes.
Yeah, very good. And the fun thing about this for somebody like me is you still learn about stuff that slipped through the cracks the first time, like this Van Duren song, Jane. I was completely unaware of it. And I'm listening to it, and I go, there's something about the Jetsons in there. It sounds like Jane stopped this crazy thing or whatever. But apparently the tune was a minor hit elsewhere or around in the early 80s, right?
Jane, 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 what's your real name? I promise I won't remember. Jane, 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 what's your real name? Can you get me through one more December? Jane, 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 stop this crazy day. Jane, 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 baby.
Well, that was his band. That was a band called Good Question, and they were a mid-'80s band in Memphis. But that was my favorite song on their record, and we were always huge Van Doren fans. And in fact, there were a couple songs on his first record that were, we toyed with putting them on the list, and they may end up on a list one day. I don't know. We'll see.
What label was he on, Tommy? Are you
He was on a label called Big Sound.
Big Sound, yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, I remember that label because he kind of played around with Big Star as well a little bit, right?
Yeah, they were contemporaries in the Memphis scene.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. And of course, these days, some of the great power poppers are leaving us. Dwight Twilley and Eric Carmen are kind of gone in the last couple of weeks. So is there a feeling that we need kind of a legacy thing going on here that you want to capture what they did and pay a little tribute to them?
We don't ever expect our heroes to die, so that was never a consideration. It just happened.
Yeah.
We all got to go.
Yeah.
And our goal was really just to record some of our very favorite songs.
And actually in both of the situations that you mentioned, Martin, with Carmen and with Dwight, these songs aren't done as tribute to them. They were alive when we were doing them, and we in fact approached both of them to join us on the recordings. Didn't happen, but I think in both cases they heard our versions and approved.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, yeah. Because like you say, we're all getting older, so
Yeah.
it's sad. You wake up every morning wondering who's going to be next. Sometimes it's
Crazy. Yeah.
yeah. And power pop itself is kind of a misunderstood genre. You can have arguments for days about what it is and what it isn't. Have you had any interesting discussions or arguments or anything with people, fans, other musicians about that recently?
Not recently. You, Tom?
No, I I don't know. I guess you'd say, I don't know what it is, but I know it when I hear it,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
To me, there's a lot of sort of power pop pretenders out there that think that if they put a jangly guitar and they play a Rickenbacker and they sing some harmonies, that makes it a power pop song. I think there's something more. Tommy, who's the guy that interviewed us for that movie he was making? Remember at your loft?
Jordan.
I can't remember the guy's name. There's a guy who's
Feldman. Jordan Feldman?
Something like that. I'm not sure. But he's putting together a movie about power pop, and he has done a massive amount of interviews and like of big people. I think he's interviewed like Rundgren and people like that.
Right.
And he got us together, the Cubes, and we did an interview with him. And this has been going on now for 7-8 years. I don't know if it's ever going to see the light of day, but the integral question there was, what is power pop and what is and what isn't?
Right.
And I don't know. I'm curious to see what he comes up with. So.
Yeah. Because from reading and stuff, a lot of people consider Ground Zero like the Who's "I Can See for Miles" or something like that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But to me, the real power pop is Badfinger Raspberries. That's where it stems for me.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, and what is the status of the Flash Cubes these days?
We actually started a new project recording. What do you think it's going to be, an EP, Tom?
I don't know what it'll be. I don't have anything. I have no idea.
The 3 songwriters in the band each wrote a new song, and we're considering a cover to throw with it. So that and we have, I don't know, we're halfway done with each of those songs or thereabouts, and so they're in formative stages. But again, what Tommy referred to before, these are taking much longer than any of our half-cute stuff would take, and because neither of the other 2 guys that we play with in the Flash Cubes, Paul Armstrong and Artie Lennon, are home recordists. So they have to get their tracks someplace else, either with me or with Tommy or with a studio in Boston where Paul lives. It's just more problematic, but we'll get there.
All right. And what's the Syracuse scene like these days? Is there one?
Damned if I know. I play gigs once in a while. I actually played a gig today. I played at a pumpkin farm with a Beatle band called the Fab Cats, which includes Artie Lennon. And it was a beautiful day, and we played, but there's not the clubs that there was when we were the Flash Cubes or even when we were Screen Test in the 80s.
Right.
There's just not as many places to play. But I mean, there's just so many other entertainment options now in the world. When anybody gets to their evening, are they getting a TikTok? Are they playing video games? Are they watching streaming video? You were almost the only game in town back in the 80s, the 70s and 80s. You're going to the clubs tonight. Who's playing?
Yep.
And I think Syracuse is like a lot of cities that way. Maybe there are some cities that have better scenes. I don't know.
All right. And getting back to the record, probably one of the the least obvious covers is by OMD, the Souvenir Tune. Who came up with that one to consider it?
It's my direction. It's my proposal. It's so hard. It's leading me astray. It's my creation. You'll understand. It's not important now.
We've always loved it, and we figured we could take some chances and just. We really simply wanted to do songs that we loved,
right?
And that fit the criteria. It is a little maybe it's a little left turn on the record, but it's a good left turn in my mind. And Gary sang it's great, and we tried to, do the songs we love with the kind of reference, and the reason that we loved those songs in the first place. We wanted to capture that element. It's not like we wanted to rearrange things and do our own versions of these songs. We chose the songs that we loved and wanted to enhance those elements that we loved about those songs. And that was it. And that's one of my favorite things on the record, really. I mean, I love everything on it, to be honest with you.
I'm sure you do.
When I play it, I hear that.
I'll just add, Tommy and I actually saw that band. Do you remember, Tommy? We saw them on Bridge Street at a club in Syracuse back in the 80s. They came here and played. But the reason that songs like that are on in my mind is that as we started to assemble these songs and we started to say, oh, this is going to be an album, it couldn't just be one song after another, Delamitri, Jet Lag, etc., Precious to Me, that were these guitar power poppy songs. You needed to break it up a little bit, especially with as long of a program as this. So I was always advocating, and Tommy went right along with it, that, we had to have not necessarily ballads, but some just different feels and stuff. So that's why Tell Someone You Love Them, the Dina Desi and Billy song is there. That's why the Alessi Brothers song is there. That's why You Were So Warm by Twilly. There's much more power poppy songs than You Were So Warm, but it's nice to have some down moments in a long program like this.
Yeah. And you kind of touched on it before, but was it always going to be a long program like this? Were you always going to do this many songs, or did it just kind of grow naturally?
Well, we have 10 more done that we couldn't fit on the record. So we actually considered, breaking it up and maybe having two records.
Right.
But because, now is as good a time as any, and we could fit 74 minutes on there. We thought, let's stuff it.
Yep.
And then we'll keep making music. And if there's a volume 2, that's great.
Yeah, cool.
We've already got half done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice one. All right. Well, it sounds like you guys are having fun, and I guess, and has technology helped this along? You guys both work in home studios and things change. Yeah. I'm not a tech geek, so I don't know, but it seems like you can hear amazing sounding records that were made in somebody's living room these days that could rival Pet Sounds.
The recording process, sounds,
but we're an example of that.
The recording process is different because you're not in the same room and you're not exchanging ideas in real time.
Yeah.
And there is a drawback to that, but it's just a fact. We live in different cities, but the technology allows us to do this and to do it at a really cool level. I think you get, in my mind as a producer and a musician, I feel like I get 90% there, doing it this way, which is pretty good. I'm really happy with it. I would love to be in a room with the guys, banging out a record, but it's just not the way it is for us right now.
All right.
And I'll just say for myself, I mean, all you really need is a good microphone, because I'm the singer.
Yep.
And I can really take much more care with my vocals when I'm doing them myself, rather than when the clock is running and you're running up a tab and you got guys on the other side of the glass and you want to do another take of that. It's like, I know when it's good, and I do a line and then I do another line, and you can be more careful with it. And we're really happy with the finished product.
Yeah. And you're signed to Big Stir Records, who is kind of this new label that's kind of popped up in the last year or so. I think they got Graham Parker on there as well.
They do.
So and they seem to be doing some pretty cool stuff. They let you do this massive thing. What are they like, and what was their reaction when you presented this idea?
Well, we're really lucky. Our friend Carl Caffarelli introduced us to them, and we're fortunate that they like what we do.
Yeah, Carl's a radio host, maybe like yourself, with the long-running show here called. What is it called?
This is Rock and Roll Radio.
This is Rock and Roll Radio, yeah.
Right.
And he was playing a lot of Big Stir stuff. And at one point, didn't it start with him, Tommy, that Carl pointed us in the direction of Big Stir and said, you guys should do a single and do it with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember out of the blue, I got a press release sent from Big Stir, and it was about the Flash Cubes. And I was like, I haven't heard of that band in like 40 years. What the heck? So this is a pleasant surprise.
We have friends to refer to us as the band that refuses to die.
Well, good on you.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
Okay.
and so we'll keep an eye out for more stuff. The other 10 songs maybe will come out somewhere and another Flash Cubes record and whatever. I doubt we'll see you doing some live gigs down in this part of the world, but you can always hope.
That's unlikely, but maybe we'll do a video. Who knows?
There you go.
The closest we came was our Japan tours. We did a couple of tours of Japan in 02 and 12.
Yep. It's not too far away, but it's a long way down here. And of course, we kind of have the Flying Nun thing down here. I don't know how familiar you are with it, but that's kind of a jangly thing in its own right, but in a slightly different direction. So
yeah.
And we just lost Martin Phillips of the Chills, who died.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
Heavenly pop song. So there you
They
go.
were a good band. They were good.
All righty, very good. Well, I'll let you guys go. Thank you very much for talking to me, and sounds like you're having a good time. Good to hear.
Thanks for having us, and thanks for
Really
playing our
appreciate
music.
it. Yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure. All right, see ya.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.